with a ketogenic athlete, it's above 70-80%. So you can go at a higher intensity using fat as fuel.
May I have your attention, please?
You're my leader.
Now listening to
Clear the mechanism.
The Robby Row Show. The Robby Row Show.
Yeah, what is up? It's your boy, Robby Row, the host of the Robby Row Show. You're listening to episode 34, part 1, with Danny Vega. Now, I want to apologize ahead of time within this introduction because I have the dishwasher running, and for some apparent reason, the dishwasher is fairly loud, but this is my time to do the dishes, so hey, I don't complain. Anyways, I made the executive decision, because it is my show, and I can make these executive decisions, that the Danny Vega and I podcast, which ran about, I think it was exactly like an hour, I'm going to do a two-parter. So this is part 1. This one will go about 35 minutes, and then be on the lookout for part 2 releasing in a few days. There's some really good stuff here. Obviously, Danny, if you don't know him, he personally is a big influence in my life within the ketogenic training realm. If you come across his Instagram at Keto Counterculture, you'll see that he's essentially defying the odds with the whole you can't build muscle on keto, you can't be jacked on keto, you just can't breathe on keto. So definitely was a priority of mine to get him on the show. Again, I'll go over his bio a little bit in the show notes, but I want to get ahead and go. What did I just say? I want to go ahead and get to the show. But before I do, if you're a first-time listener, my name's Robby Row. I'm a professional baseball player / podcaster. Ayo, look at me. You can find me on Instagram at Robby Row12. That's Robby with a Y. Everyone spelt my name wrong growing up, and I don't know why I took offense to it, but I still kind of do. Anyways, find me on Instagram there. I got a Twitter, Facebook, YouTube channel. I got all that good stuff. But I want to encourage you, if you liked some of the topics that I brought up, if you kind of if you just like my voice, which I don't think I've gotten one compliment saying you have a good voice besides Danny on this show, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That would help me out drastically. If you want to take it a step further, go ahead and leave me a review if you're feeling kind. I told myself right before I hit the record button on the introduction that I wasn't going to go above 3 minutes, and I just did. And I apologize that you have to sit here and listen to me ramble. But let's go ahead and hit the podcast interview. Again, this is part 1, Danny Vega. Be on the lookout for part 2 airing here in a couple days. But for now, part 1, Danny Vega at Keto Counterculture. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the Robby Row Show, episode 34. I got a special guest, and it's funny. I just looked at the timestamp, dude. We just talked for 27 minutes. We just talked 27 minutes pre-show. But you won't find that information, so we got to talk for another 2 hours about more good information. But Danny Vega, how we doing today, man? Welcome to the show.
Man, I'm happy to be here, and let me just be the first one to start the campaign for Robby Row radio personality.
Ooh.
We need to get you on some sports talk, bro. You got that voice, man. You got that charisma. Let's do it.
Here's the funny thing, man, is for the listeners listening, we just talked about checking egos at the door before we hopped on, and my ego's up there now. So I appreciate make sure you don't stop. We could just keep it rolling. I'll feed you back some, and we'll be all right. But
bro, I'll be ready to go after this.
Yeah,
I'll be ready to do something.
Yeah. So the first rules of being on my podcast is you always got to be wearing a tank when you record. So I hope that's being done.
Oh my gosh, what are the odds that today of all days
you didn't wear a tank?
I did it, man.
We're gonna have to reschedule.
I wear a tank every day, but the one that I'm wearing is it's that you got the tank, you lucky. I told them to give me the tank. I got the sleeve version. I don't know what I was thinking. Peterson's Farms, the Body by Bacon thing, because you got the tank of that, right?
I don't think so.
Oh no, maybe it was somebody else who had it, but
I don't think so.
I need
No,
I
I
need the
got
tank.
the Fat is Smart Fuel. I got the shirt that says carbs kill and hashtag bacon or something.
Oh well, we're gonna be visiting with them because we're gonna film some promotion stuff. We're flying to Flagstaff to do stuff with them, so I'm gonna make sure I ask them to give me one of those so I can rock it.
Dude, they are great.
They're the best, man.
Subtle plug for those of you listening. Check out Fat is Smart Fuel. I think it's just fatismartfuel.com. I could be wrong, but I'll put it in the show.
Or you can do dropinfbomb.com.
Drop an F-bomb?
Yeah, because their Instagram is fat is smart fuel, all one word. But yeah, but maybe they also have that URL that directs
they could.
to that.
I'm not 100% sure, but they're great. They're great people too. So Danny, I want to start this show out. And it's funny because we've been talking for a half an hour, so it doesn't feel like we're starting anything. But I typically like to do rapid fire Q&As. And now, with that being said, I haven't had high success with the whole rapid fire part of it. So don't feel obligated to just, say it like right away. But I do want it kind of first thing that comes to mind. And I do want, not to sit there and think hard about it. These aren't hard questions, right? They should just be popped up in your head, and then we'll move on. But I'm ready to start if you are, man.
Yeah, and let's also say that before you were like, should I send you the script? And I was like, nope. It's always better. It's always better off the cuff.
It's funny, man. Like, I'm the same way, dude. I just love like just winging it, right? And there's a lot of people out there that actually prepare. And
yeah, they get nervous. They're like, what are you going to ask me?
And I'll send them like everything, which is fine, right? Like it's not a big deal. Like, I don't care. I write show notes for every dang episode anyways. So, yeah, man, rapid fire Q&A. First question, we're going to hit it off hot. I wanted to know your favorite superhero, but I want to know your favorite superhero from the comics and your favorite superhero on screen today.
Simple. Favorite superhero from the comics has always been Superman. Since I was a child, I love him. Comic fans are going to be like, why do you love Superman? He's not even like, look, I love Superman. The stories have always appealed to me, what he stands for. And, I named my first child, his middle name is Kal-El, so Desmond Kal-El Vega. And in the movies, it quickly became, after Thor Ragnarok, Thor became my favorite superhero from the movies, because the way they wrote him, you kind of started to see it in some of the Avengers stuff, but the way they wrote him in Thor Ragnarok was brilliant. And then they came back and did it again with the latest Avengers, and he's got the perfect mixture of course, he's this huge, strong, alpha male, like God.
Yeah, super hot. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he's so.
I'll say it.
Like, if my wife says something, like, I'm not gonna say anything about it, just like I do with Aquaman, with what's his name?
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa.
Gosh.
That's for me. He's my man crush, dude. Like,
really.
But yeah, man, because that guy can throw axes. He's like an outdoorsman. He's a great dad.
Oh, wow.
And he loves his wife. And so, like, for me, just that
doesn't relate to you at all.
I'm like, that's what I want to be, except I'm not over 6 foot like you.
Oh, man. Yeah. I will say, though, like, they totally redeemed Thor in the third one. Like, right? I mean, you can agree, though, the first and second one were brutal.
Well, the first one I liked. The second one was kind of like, the thing is, with all those movies, what holds them back from telling the best possible story is that they're always having to connect it to the big, greater storyline, which holds you back. And like, there's something, the Tesseract or whatever it was on that one, it's like, okay, that's where we had to connect that to the overall story. But but yeah, the Thor Ragnarok is my favorite comic book movie.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, man.
How'd you like the Avengers one, the third one?
Dude, I tell everybody that it's whatever, 2 hours and 45 minutes, however long it is, of blunt force trauma. Bro. It's just blunt force trauma the whole time. Dude. And it really, you're just like, oh, I mean, dang, man, I loved it. I loved it, and now let's see what happens.
Yeah, so for my listeners, Danny and I are both, I guess it's safe to say, like comic book nerds. I can speak for myself, right? I just just from listening to a couple of your things, I can kind of just figure that you are. So
For sure, man.
we could probably spend another 20 minutes on comic book talk, but I want to move on to my next quote unquote rapid fire Q&A. We'll just call it a Q&A from now on. So I want to know what did younger Danny want to be when he was growing up?
Oh man, that's a great one. Yeah, this is so good, man, because it really helps people understand that this is not a new thing for me. Like when I was in high school, I had my biggest problem when I was younger is that I had a very small, limited view of the world because of where I was and my experiences. I never got to travel. I never got to see different things, and so I was completely content. This is me in high school. I remember this very clearly. I want a job that pays me at least $35,000 a year. This is straight up.
You had a number for him already,
Dude. I swear, like 35,000 a year, that would be good. That's enough to take care of me and my family. And I just wanna be a productive person. But like, I always wanted to do. If you asked me what I wanted to do, it had something to do with gyms. I was like, maybe I'll own a gym. I even had at some point. This is before realizing that, of course, if you have to pay rent for a space,
yeah,
that destroys you, and it's it's a very outdated model, especially with the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always something in that arena, something that would allow me to use my coaching abilities, my ability to write programs and tailor things from nutrition to training to everything for any type of person. So that was always what I wanted to do. I just didn't know what it was.
Okay.
And then the real world came in, and it was like, okay, I got to Colombia. That was a surprise in and of itself. You know, this Cuban kid whose parents, my dad dropped out of high school, my mom didn't go to college, and now I find myself in an Ivy League school, and now they're like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, I like political science. I love philosophy. That's what I want to study. Well, what are you going to do with that? I guess I'll be a lawyer. So it was like the whole time undergrad, like thinking I possibly would be a lawyer. And then finally realizing later on in like sophomore, junior year, making sure that I took the classes for what I really needed to take, which I didn't tell them until later, because I was like, oh, by the way, I'm going to graduate and then I'm going to go to grad school at University of Florida because I want to be a strength coach. And they're just like, what? You go to Columbia and then you're going to be a strength coach? So yeah, it was always something like that. And then of course the real world comes in, and, you know, making a good living, doing what I did. I picked the best thing I could for sure, because it was like not in an office, autonomy, which was pharma sales, and then going into medical device. It was the perfect thing for me at the time. It all comes back full circle. Here I am now.
Yeah, man. Shoot, God is good. So
Amen.
Next question. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this, even though it's usually a pretty tough question for people.
That's pretty impossible, dude, because I talk too much.
I know, gosh, I'm the same way. When people like ask me questions, I need to make sure that I'm like, okay, was it 20 minutes? Did I answer it? So out of every place you've ever been to eat a cheeseburger, what is your favorite? And I'm sure it's without the bun. So favorite burger spot. This is a chain too, like, right? It's not like your home, right? You didn't just grill up a burger at home. This is, you went and got one.
I think if, like, because my wife and I agree on this, I think it would be Five Guys.
Okay. Yeah. Now, do you say Five Guys because they're...
Oh, wait. It's... Wow. How about this? Huge Freudian slip. I was thinking of Five Guys the whole time. And it wasn't Five Guys. It was this other one. Oh, man. Now
you got to think of the name, man.
Dude, it's not Five Guys. I love Five Guys.
Five Guys is real keto friendly, too, by the way. Extra bacon. They don't charge you for it.
Yeah. I love that. It's not Five Guys.
Is it a Florida chain?
They're in different places, and I'm on their email list. I can't believe I'm forgetting.
That's bad.
This dude, yeah. I'm looking at the sign up top, and I'm seeing Five Guys. Like, I'm just stuck on Five Guys.
Okay,
write it down. Let's go with Five Guys.
We'll come back to it if you ever figure it out, because I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm a big burger advocate. So, have you ever been to the West Coast? You never had In-N-Out?
Dude, In-N-Out is great.
Flying Dutchman, man.
Yeah, Flying Dutchman, obviously, is where I would love to go. What I would order, but then if I'm ordering a ton of burgers, I can't order offline Dutchman, bro. The amount of cheese.
Oh, you just
products.
ask.
Yeah, I guess because flying. Oh, BurgerFi, dude, BurgerFi.
BurgerFi. Okay, I could have told you that. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, to be honest.
Really? What is it
Can
that
I
you
say
don't
why?
like about it? Tell me.
Can I rant? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is where I put in my show, Robby Rants. No, I'm just kidding. So I went to BurgerFi one time. I think I was in like St. Louis, and it took me like 30 minutes to order because all I said was like, hey, I just want a beef patty. And I mean, you know how it is, right? Like some people go, wait, what? You don't want bun? You don't want this, that? And I was like, no, just what is a beef patty? So like some people like grind it out and just go, dude, just give me this and I'll give you a beef patty, right? Like it's no problem. BurgerFi, man, was just, they talked to 17 different managers. They called corporate. They called the White House.
My goodness,
talked to the president, and then it came to the final conclusion after standing there for 30 minutes waiting for just like a couple burger patties. And let's be honest, it's never a couple with me. A ton of burger patties. And they ended up just saying like, yeah, we're going to have to charge you for the whole thing. And if that's what you want.
You know what? That's the thing too with BurgerFi is that you're getting the burger and usually what you do is you order it green style.
Mm-hmm.
But another problem that I find is that everybody wants to give you the lettuce. And I'm just like, I don't want the lettuce.
I don't want the lettuce, man.
But then it's like, okay, well, how are we going to, if it's like in a drive-through, they're like, how are you going to keep the burgers from burning through the styrofoam? Like, you got to put something. And I'm like, just give me the lettuce or give me the burgers and I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
I'm glad to finally talk to someone that understands, right? Like I get so many weird looks, man. Like no one gets it.
Yeah.
So BurgerFi is better than Five Guys for you, though.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's my perceived quality of the meat.
Sure.
I know it's organic, and I tell people that because people are concerned with organic and grass fed. I think that the most important thing for me is that it's organic. It doesn't have to be grass fed because I'm not convinced on the omega-3 versus omega-6. It's just not enough.
Oh, you're not convinced on that?
I'm not, dude. When you think about it, most of the fat in a burger is going to be saturated. So let's say 9 or 10% of the fat that you're getting from that burger. So let's say a burger has 30 grams of fat. So 10% of that, 3 grams of fat, is either going to be more polyunsaturated or is it either going to be more omega-6 or more omega-3? So if you have like a 20 to 30% increase in omega-3 from a grass-fed burger, you're getting whatever that is broken down, point something grams of omega-3. Especially if you're not getting a lot of omega-6s, you're not getting vegetable oils. That's not where I'm convinced. Where I am more concerned is, especially after reading Estrogeneration and how that has changed the way I see everything.
Yeah,
is the the atrazine and the stuff that they spray on the feed that they give to cows that's not that's not organic. And so I'd rather get organic, so it's a little bit more expensive, but not as expensive as grass-fed. And you might get lucky enough that you're getting more marbling, because that's where Maura gets pissed, because she's like, you get all these grass-finished beef, and like the ribeyes are atrophic. They're just like, there's no marbling. They're these like skinny little things. They don't have as much flavor, and I get that.
Right.
So she's always like, if I have to serve her ribeyes, I gotta buy her like the Publix ribeyes, because they're pretty freaking tasty. They're pretty delicious.
Gosh, dude. So I went to the store the other day and bought, I like to buy mine in bulk, right? And then cut it myself.
I know. I always see that.
Yeah. So I was just, okay. So I didn't know this was a possibility of even a thing in real life, but I'm addicted to grocery shopping now. And it's not so much that I'm addicted to like spending money. It's just I'm addicted to like going and like seeing new things, reading labels, like seeing deals, right? So I was just chilling like at a grocery store. It's my routine after I hit the gym, and I walk by the meat section. Obviously you take a look, and they had a freaking big old thing, like 15 pounds of ribeye. And then I saw a sticker that said 50% off. So I'm looking at it and it's like $7.99 regular and it said 50% off. So I got 15 pounds for like $35 or $40.
Okay, I've never. That's you win. I've never seen any
Dude,
for
dropped the
ribeyes.
mic. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. But God paid me back in an essence of I came home and I didn't have a sharp knife, so I grinded through the cutting process. So I really worked for it. I worked hard for it, man. It was tough, especially when your lats strained.
Oh man.
Oh man. So okay, moving on. We'll just do this one like this is the last one. So if you ever had to be like stranded on an island, but you can take 3 things besides like family and like sentimental things, like what would the 3 things be?
All right, for sure, I would a fire starter.
Don't say your Traeger grill.
I think a fire starter would be huge. I think the second thing that I would do is a machete.
Of course.
A machete, a fire starter, and 3 things that I could take with me. If I have the fire starter, I could boil water. I could do everything. What would the last one be?
What would you boil the water in?
Yeah, so I guess the last thing would be, well, yeah, you can't boil it in a coconut. So I would say a little pot, because then I could do everything. Everything could just be a stew. Whatever lizard, fish, anything I catch, I could do it. And by the way, we're huge Naked and Afraid fans. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Dude, we watch that all the time because it's like, it's amazing to see what these people go through, man. It's really cool to experience it without the pain.
Dude, let me ask you this. Could you do it?
21 days, I think keto makes it much more possible where
Yeah.
I definitely could do it. Absolutely, I could do it.
Yeah.
The problem is there's 2 things. Number one, they're over the top now. Like they're making it so hard. Like if you look at the progression throughout the seasons, I think we're on season 8 or 9 now. And like, it's like, I saw a recent episode that my wife and I both were just like, this is absurd. This is just absurd. These people were in pure hell from day one. They didn't even finish it. Both of them had to check out. They're like dying. So there's that. And then there's the fact that the contingency would be that I would have to have a month or so before to prep on like just survival stuff. So
Right.
I need to learn what I can put in my mouth. I need to learn, so I don't die.
Right.
Because I don't know any of that. Like I grew up, outdoors for me is the ocean. I grew up on the ocean. I was fishing since I was 4.
Uh-huh.
Any type of thing with fish and water, that's easy for me. But like, I'll be hunting for the first time ever, either in the fall. We're going to go to Robert's. Robert has like a huge, like 30,000 acres or 3,000 acres. And but I'm going to have to, I told him, you're going to have to teach me, man. I mean, I could shoot a gun. I'm going to bring my shotgun. I don't have a hunting rifle. So yeah.
Oh yeah. So I'm the same way, dude. I mean, I didn't even grow up fishing. Like I'm super ADD, right? Like I have no patience for fishing. I can't just sit there. But so my buddy, like my roommate, like is big into hunting, right? And like I'm just so oblivious to what that looks like and how that, because I'm in like the capital of like the hunting world right now, like Central California, like all up in the mountains and stuff. Like it's so big here.
Oh, that's so cool,
yeah,
man.
and it's beautiful, right? But I don't know. I don't think I've ever had the desire to kill something and then like eat it. I will say, dude, as I get more like intrigued with like healthier styles of eating meat, it's something that I do want to do. I tried venison actually for the first time like a couple months ago, and it was
what did you have? What did you end up having? What part of it, or what type of cut?
Yeah, that's a question that I could not answer for you. It was really good.
But it's got to be like, so I just got a big tenderloin because I've been wanting to have, because I get ground venison and it's delicious from Durham Ranch. They're like they're a company. They're at Sprouts. They got amazing wild game, the ground boar, the ground venison, and that's all delicious. But I'm getting the back strap, which is to me the best part of the deer, because it's basically a fillet. Yeah. So that's coming. That's going to be here tomorrow, actually. So I'm going to have that very soon. I warned Mauda already, because she's always like, you're crazy. And then I bring her along on this stuff, and a lot of the time she's like, oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. Oh, I should listen to you more often.
I told you.
Nah.
Yeah. Just like the other day, she was like telling me that she texted me. She goes, when should I take the glycine again? Because I was talking about glycine. I was like, well, Keto Counterculture made a really good post on that. You should go check it out.
Yo, that's a great segue into my next conversation, man. So
All right.
So this is where you and I met. We met on Instagram through your Instagram, which is Keto Counterculture. For those listening that want to go check it out, I highly encourage you to do that. But yeah, man, like that's how you and I got introduced, and I think social media in that regard is super cool, right? Like we get these interactions with people, but I do want to say, like, I highly appreciate everything that you've done for me and my ketogenic journey, because I know when I first started, dude, like everyone, you have no idea, right?
Man.
You're just sitting there. You have a basis of what you want to accomplish, but you don't really know the how, right? And so that's kind of where I want to dive in next, man. Is like, what does your start in keto look like?
For me, or what I would recommend?
No, for you. Like, what is your backstory there?
Oh man, it was perfect because I was on like 4 months of because I pulled out of my last powerlifting meet in March of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And because I knew that I had something wrong with my knee, and for over a year I put it off, and I finally got the MRI, and I knew that once I got the MRI that I was going to have to pull out. I knew that it was going to tell me, okay, I could squat and deadlift with the torn meniscus and the other stuff that I had with my knee joint, like chondromalacia, or whatever that's called.
Who names those things, man? Good for them.
Dude, yeah, they're just, dude, freaking I was thinking eggheads, dude, really, really smart eggheads.
Right. So you were a power lifter at this time, though, in your life, right?
Yeah. And then I was
CrossFit
like,
CrossFit Danny, or what?
Yeah, post CrossFit Danny, because
Okay.
CrossFit Danny was like from like 2000. I love it, CrossFit Danny.
Yeah.
It was like from like
Hashtag
2011 to 2013. I think I've put that before, like CrossFit Vega, like the old me
with the hair slicked back.
Hair slicked back, dude. And I even had a like Mad Men side comb over, like for years.
What a reference, dude.
Straight up, that's what I was like. But then it's like you got to do so much work to keep it going. But
yeah,
anyways,
might as well just lose it, right? Might as well just.
Dude, that's for me now. Like the short hair now is just so much easier. Like I don't even have anything now. I'm getting a fade today. I'm getting a haircut with my son, and I get a fade every 2 weeks. And it's like when you have the beard, it makes it help. It helps. Because before I would get a fade, and then I would automatically turn back into an 18-year-old. So all of a sudden.
I should have asked this before we started, but over under 21 and a half rabbit holes we can dive into before we finish this podcast.
I'm going to say over.
You're taking the over. Well, I guess now that sports betting is like the big thing now, right? We should just probably do like an Instagram live post on it.
Yeah, and people can bet within the bets. Like that's the problem. That's the thing.
That's the next big thing.
Dude, you could bet on everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we see an addiction here. Let's feed it as much as possible.
Yeah, 21 and a half.
One
Easy.
click. So yeah, I was like, I pulled out of that meet in March, and then I was like, what am I going to do with myself? Well, there's always that background thing of like, I want to get ripped. So I was like, I had a friend who was a bodybuilder and powerlifter, and I said, I want you to write me a diet. And I told him to write me and Mauda a diet, and we went on this diet, and it worked amazing. Like we got really, really lean. We started with like my carbs were like at 450 at the beginning, and they went all the way down to like under 100. But my fat was like at 70 in the beginning, and then it was like 50 for the last, couple of months. And it was it was like Memorial Day weekend was the worst binge ever. My wife and I binged for like 3 days straight, and we felt disgusting.
Not on Netflix.
Definitely no. Binging on everything from fast food to just nasty, just everything, just desserts. And then the problem too is like you feel that pain throughout the week because it sucks. You're restricting yourself. You may not even be in ketosis for half the time because and back then I didn't even know what that was. Right. And like, because you're still coming off those huge carbs. And so I, at the end though, I was so lean, and I was like, okay, what am I trying to accomplish here? I want a better quality of life, And so Trevor, whom I don't know if you've met Trevor,
no.
he's such a good dude, man. He's a really good friend, and it's funny because now I'm going into business with him. But like, he was always telling me at the gym, hey, you got to try keto, man. I see, you always complain about you're hurting here and you're hurting there. It's so good. Look at these recipes. He's always showing me recipes and stuff. Like, look, it's good. It's doable.
That's how you sell
And
people.
yeah, especially me, man. You start, because that
Show
was
the
my
pictures of
whole,
food.
dude, it was all about what recipe am I going to make next,
Exactly.
So in the beginning, I was, I didn't have the keto flu. 2 days into it, I felt like Superman because I just the carbs were low already, and the fat I got a bunch of fat back in. I was eating turkey bacon for so long that I had like
Ugh.
a pack of bacon, and I drank the bacon grease and everything, and I felt it was disgusting. Like, I had an aversion to bacon for a few weeks because I ate so much bacon in one sitting that I was just like, bleh.
That's like a
But
misconception, right? Like everyone just goes keto bacon and then
yeah,
crush.
that's it. It's automatic. It's funny how people see like what keto is, and as it grows, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, because I always like to hear what people are telling me, and they're like, I can only eat so many eggs and bacon and everything, and I'm here thinking to myself, that's not what keto is. I mean, eggs and bacon is awesome, but it's not the only thing. So
Yeah.
it was just in the beginning, I had always been tracking. So like, I remember like I started with my protein high. I started with like my protein was like at 180. And as I started to like go through it, I realized, let me see what happens when I put the protein lower. And then over the next several months of the first year, I was averaging probably over that first year like 150 grams of protein. Fat was always super high, 280, 300 grams.
Mm-hmm.
And, carbs were anywhere from like 25 to 50, depending, because I also then started to train for a half marathon. All this stuff opened up.
Mm-hmm.
So really the beginning was just the first week I didn't even train because I was so busy with work. I'm like, perfect. I'll take this week as a week that I can do work stuff. And then the second week I came back and it was a deload week. So really week 3 was when I was training again, and I was totally okay with not having the pumps. I didn't get my pumps back till about three months in.
Right.
It took about 3 months. Yeah.
So when you went back into like strength training, did you notice a lack of strength?
Well, it was a combination of, I wasn't training as heavy.
Okay.
But I also was aware that I felt like if I did go as heavy, that I wouldn't have it. Like it wasn't really there. And then like, so the interesting thing with my adaptation is that I feel like I didn't lose strength for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it was like months later when I was starting to ramp back up, because I was going to do the 666 challenge. I know it sounds crazy and demonic and all that, but I didn't name it. But it was basically like, I'm like, I could do this. It was basically run a 6-minute mile, deadlift 600 and squat 600 in one day. And I got my mile time down to like 5:48, which was like 6 seconds off my best. And I was repping like sets of 3 to 4 in the low 500s with the squat, and like same thing in the mid 500s with the deadlift. And I feel like if I would have been the old me, the problem is, would I have been able to run the way I? So it's like this. It's this trade-off, because I wouldn't have been able to run as fast and feel as good running if I wasn't keto. But then at the same time, I didn't feel the strength quite there. And since it wasn't as easy as I wanted it to be, because that's really like 75% of my 1 rep max at the time.
Yeah.
It made it harder for me to stay training that way because of my knee. I was like, like when I would go heavy, I would be hurting for like over a week after.
Yeah, it just wasn't
And
worth
I'm
it.
like, why am I doing this? I don't have anything to prove. There's nothing, I wanted to be able to say that I did it, but so the strength is not there. I think nowadays, if I were to train with strength, I think that I would play with more carbs when I go heavy and not during training. I still don't think that it's during the training. And I'm trying to put this together, man, because like you and I both are trying to figure all this stuff out.
Uh-huh.
And I think for the recovery, I don't know what it is, having those carbs after the training, maybe it's something as simple as, getting my glycogen stores back really quickly. Because I can get them back, just fine. The faster study, that's one thing. You're like referencing a really good, well-designed study that
I have
shows
that
that.
written down. Go ahead and dive into it when you're finished.
Oh, the faster study? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's really important because for anything that you're talking about, let's say you're talking about hypertrophy, that's a really important one for keto, because you start to say, well, you can't train as intense without the carbs. But no, that's not true. Number one, because with the faster study, I think it was like the average sugar burner, when they get to about 56%, I think it's 56% of their VO2 max, that's when they start to click into that glycolytic pathway,
Okay.
and they switch out of fat burning into the carb zone. But with the ketogenic athlete, it's above 70-80%. So you can go at a higher intensity using fat as fuel, but at the same time, and the other thing too, also for sustained periods of time, and the glycogen repletion, so the glycogen coming back into the muscles was the same with both groups. So, okay, that's really, really good. But I don't know. Maybe it's just that it helps it happen quicker. And then you can't deny that insulin is anabolic.
Yeah.
So I am not. There are other pathways. There's growth hormone. There's other things that allow for hypertrophy, and there's also a different style of training. So that's one of the things with the keto muscle program, that we don't spend a bunch of time in the glycolytic pathway. We spend some time in it. But the whole program is not one of those programs where you can be like, I'm going to slam 50 carbs pre-workout, 50 carbs during the workout, 100 carbs post-workout. So I have this quick energy that I can use for drop sets and multiple, just high volume stuff. And the high volume stuff, if you were to train, in my opinion, if you were to train really, really high volume and with keto, you're going to break down, because I don't think that the turnover is going to be keeping up with so I don't think that you're going to be able to recover as quickly and keep up the intensity. So that's why.
That's on keto, right?
Yeah, on keto. But you could totally stay keto and train differently. So you train with that myofibrillar hypertrophy, which is more like the strength focus, and so you're also getting an extra benefit, because sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is what is heavily associated with the bodybuilders, because the bodybuilders, they train high reps, and it's all about glycogen in the muscle. It's all about all that stuff. It's good for connective tissue, because the more reps you train, the more you strengthen your connective tissue. So you don't want to only train heavy, because then your joints are at risk.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you train in that myofibrillar type of hypertrophy, you get more strength, because you don't have as much strength the other way. So like what you'll see if it was an actual graph, is you'll see with sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, you'll see muscle linearly. Let's say it goes up linear, and it continues to go up, but then strength goes up to a certain point, and then it levels off, because you're not stimulating the nervous system enough.
Plateaus like that, yeah.
So yeah, the faster study is great, and it's a great thing. But then there's also real world, and how does this? We don't have a lot of hypertrophy keto stuff. We just don't.
Okay, guys. So yeah, like I said, that was part one of the Danny Vega, Robby Rowland, the Robby Row Show podcast. If you liked what you heard here, be on the lookout for part two coming here within a few days. But yeah, just a lot of good information. Obviously, you can tell that he's been at it, right? And I think he and I share a similar personality within the obsession sometimes over the experimentation, right? I mean, the keto athletic industry, there's just not a lot of stuff out there. I think we're getting a lot better now as we progress with the information. But the one thing that I will say, and I think I reiterated a couple times in part two, again, which you'll see in a few days, that it's super important to test your own self, right? Like Danny and I can sit here and we can go back and forth about what we're doing, what we work, like maybe see some similarities within what we're experimenting with. But at the same time, you on the other side of this podcast that's listening to it, it may not apply for you. So again, I can't stress it enough how important it is for you to run some tests, like experiment, go take 4 weeks or take 8 weeks, out of your routine, and just switch something up and see like, okay, how's my body going to respond to this, right? implement some things. Like there's so many tools that we can utilize, whether it be carbs, whether it be exogenous ketones, whether it be like higher ratios of macronutrients. Like there's so many different things out there that at the end of the day, you don't understand, or you don't realize where you're most optimal until you really try it. And at least that's my personal opinion. I'm constantly trying to new things out, new routines to really optimize just overall well-being and feeling great. So again, that's part 1 of the Robby Row Show, episode 34. So what do we call that? Episode 34.1. Do me a favor, if you liked the episode, or even if you didn't like it, go ahead and leave me a review on whatever platform you're listening to. Not only does it help me out with popularity on my show, but it also helps me out as a host of this podcast. Sometimes I don't know if I'm getting better, if I'm getting worse, and I need y'all's opinions. So go ahead and leave a review and let me know what you thought. So again, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, Robby Rollin', the Robby Row Show. Your boy's out. Later.